You may have heard about a girl named Yeonmi Park who is a refugee from North Korea. Her speeches have been viewed over 1 billion times online. She's written 2 books about her escape and is extremely outspoken about the North Korean regime. So much so that she's received death threats from people in Kim Jong-un's office. Finally, after years of being in touch, I flew out to Chicago to meet her and tell you her gut-wrenching story. Good morning. It is literally 3:59. I just rolled up to the airport and I'm super excited to go meet Yeonmi Park in Chicago. I've been in touch with her for a while. I've heard about her story for many years. And finally we found a good time that we could meet. It's going to be incredible. I have 24 hours planned with her. Can't wait to learn all about her life, see what she's up to in Chicago, and tell her inspiring story to you. Welcome to Chicago. Alright, I'm here in downtown Shy, just a few minutes away from meeting Yeonmi. Super excited. It's going to be an incredible experience just to sit down with her, ask her questions. So here goes nothing. How are you? Nice to meet you. How are you? I'm great. You look wonderful.
Oh, thank you. So I thought it was gonna be a lot cooler than this.
I thought I'm wearing shorts. I thought it was gonna be like hot.
Really?
Yeah.
I get cold so easily, so I thought it was gonna be freezing.
Yeah, it's not that cold though. It's
no,
okay.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I'm so pleasant surprised.
So good to meet you.
So good to meet you
Yeah.
too, finally. My name is Yeonmi Park, and I'm from North Korea.
Which part of North Korea?
Haesan, the northern part.
Haesan.
It's right across the river from China. So it's a border town.
That's the coldest part of North Korea.
Yeah, it is coldest part of the country.
What are your first memories growing up?
Very dark, because there was no electricity. So I remember even winter time, like by 3 it gets dark. So by 4 we have the dinner and then be in bed by 5 because we couldn't afford the lights. So you could go to bed very early.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I had one older sister.
And mom and dad?
Yeah, my mom and father.
And did they work?
My father did, but my mom was a staying-home mom.
And so you went to like elementary school in North Korea?
I only went to 1 semester or so because by then my father was arrested by the regime. So we couldn't afford to go to school afterwards. So I went like one year.
And why did he get arrested?
He was arrested for engaging in a black market trading. So North Korea's socialist system, so trading, any kinds of trading is illegal. So he was selling coppers and dried fish and rice clocks.
And he got caught, and so they took him to jail?
Yeah.
And you had no contact with him?
No, I never even knew. There's nothing called like a lawyer in North Korea defend human rights. So they just arrested him and tortured him and sentenced him more than 10 years. So we had no idea.
And you still don't talk to him?
No, he got out eventually for sick leave and then he passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's okay, yeah.
And your mom?
My mom, I escaped together with her, and then through the journey, eventually I found her, and then we made it to South Korea together.
And she's still there now?
She's in South Korea, yeah.
So you get to see her sometimes?
Oh yes, she comes visit me often in Chicago.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And you're still really close with her?
Very close. I still talk to her every day.
And does she have any interest in moving to the US?
Not now, because I think for her not being able to speak the language in China was kind of traumatic. So she wants to be in a country where she can speak the language.
What age were you when you and your mom decided we need to leave this country?
I was 13 years old, and it was 2007.
2007. And talk me through the experience. Like, I'm sure your mom made the decision, not you, to leave.
I made the decision.
You made the decision?
Yeah.
So you just said, Mom, like, I'm not comfortable here, I want to go.
No, we were like starving. So have you ever seen those, I was watching documentary like 9/11. Those people were jumping off that burning building. right? It was like that kind of decision. Like if I did not jump, I was gonna die from starvation anyway. So there was like, it was not even make a decision at that point. That was the only last thing we could do to survive.
You were really starving.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't eat for how many days?
I don't know, all my life. I mean, even now I'm actually 80 pounds, but I was like half of this size back then.
Really?
Yeah. North Koreans somehow not able to put on weight afterwards because we are so systemically long time starved,
Oh my God.
and we are not able to observe the nutrition as much as we're. I mean, who knew that was gonna be a blessing here?
Right.
But yeah, so that's I was eating like grasshoppers, dragonflies, a lot of plants, and that's
Seriously?
yeah.
Was your friends at the time also starving?
Everybody. I mean, the ones who died, I mean, not even here, right? That means I was privileged that I didn't die from starvation. When I was born in 1993, that's when North Korea is at the height of the famine. Because Soviet Union collapsed,
Yes.
they were stopped subsidizing economy. So the Kim Jong-il was thinking, he said, as long as we maintain 10% of the population alive who are in capital, we are not gonna do anything about it. So we were on purpose, like the man-made famine.
Wow.
That's why we were dying.
That's so difficult to hear.
Yeah.
And so you were starving, your mom was starving, and you just said, we need to go right now. We're out of here.
Because I mean, I never even had an internet. I never even seen the map of the world. It was not like I knew that the outside the world was better. But I was in the border, and at nighttime there's a light coming from China side. So that's when I knew, like, maybe if I go where the lights were, I could find something to eat.
And tell me about the moment when you left North Korea and walked into China.
I know, it's as soon as I walked there, as soon as I arrived in Chinese side, that's when my mom got raped. And then they told us that we had to be sold in China as sex slaves. So, in a way, but the thing is, being raped is worse than being starved. I mean, if you don't eat, you die, right? If you get raped, you don't die. So, that's why most of North Korean women choose to live in China while they are being enslaved by like human traffickers.
Wow. And so you made it to China. Did you have to bribe anyone at the border? Or just...
No, there's a lady who was helping me and my mom, and I didn't ask her why she was helping me, but of course she was selling us. That's why she helped us to bribe the guards, and we crossed the frozen river into China.
Tell me about the first few days in China. What happened?
So as soon as we got there, they were like negotiating my price because I was 13 and I was a virgin, and somehow virgin is very expensive in China. So they sold my mom for I think around $65, and they sold me for less than $300. So they separated myself from my mom, and they sold us separately.
And so they sold you to who?
To another human trafficker. So there's a human trafficker wing. So when you transfer next person, they add more money on you. That's how they make a profit. So eventually they sold my mom to a Chinese farmer because China has a one-child policy, had one, and now there are 40 million men cannot find wives. So they buy North Korean women, they rape them, and they enslave us, and then that's how we are treated in China.
Wow. So you were separated from your mom, and you were both sold as sex slaves.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I was sold to another human trafficker, and then that's when I was gonna kill myself. And then he said if I become his mistress, he was going to help me buy my mom back and my father. And that's when I thought, okay, if I sacrifice myself, I can help my family. So that's what I did.
Eventually, you made your way down through China,
So no, that was in China, and then eventually, so there are 4 places where North Korean women end up. One is like being sold to sex slave to these farmers, so they get raped by entire village men or the entire brothers in that family. The second is they end up in the brothels, like prostitution, and they drug these girls, so they make them drug addict. And third one is they go in the organ harvesting, and they kill them, get the organs out. The last place we end up is this chat rooms, where sex chat rooms. They put you in the room and lock you, and then ask you to show your body to the customer who are in South Korea. So, I mean, what would you prefer? For me was being in that chat room was better than anything. Nobody would touch me in person.
Right.
So while I was in that chat room, I heard about a thing called South Korea, the country that is free, right?
Right.
And then there I met another North Korean defector woman, and she told me there were missionaries help us to go to South Korea. So that's how I met the missionaries, and they told me how to go walk across the frozen Gobi Desert from China to Mongolia.
You walked
Yeah.
in the freezing cold?
In 2009, in February, I was 15 years old.
How did you survive? Like big jackets?
No, we didn't even have gloves. That was a miracle. It was like minus 40 degrees.
Where did you sleep?
We didn't, I mean, in desert in minus 40 degrees, if you don't move in 10 seconds, you'll die. Every second you have to move because you're gonna die frozen to death right there.
How long did you walk for?
We only took 1 day. But because it was the coldest time of the year, the soldiers thought nobody would be crazy enough to cross the desert right now. And the security wasn't as bad. So that's why we chose the coldest time. And then by the time when we arrived in Mongolia, we got rescued by Mongolian soldiers.
Okay, and after that, it was much easier to move.
And then, yeah, several months in the detention center, and they sent us to South Korea.
How did you feel during that time?
I mean, back then I did not even know the word free. So I remember this North Korean lady told me, if you go to South Korea, you're gonna be free. And I asked her, like, what do you mean I'm gonna be free? And she said, like, in South Korea, you can wear jeans and you can watch K-pop dramas. So I was a teenage girl, loved the K-dramas. And in North Korea, like, they say jeans are the symbol of capitalism. So they send you prison for just wearing a jeans. For me, so back then, the freedom meant, like, not the freedom of speech. I thought freedom meant, like, literally just wearing pants and wearing earrings and watching TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are your first impressions of South Korea?
It was horrifying. I had this, there was a lot of discrimination. So, I was there, like, in Korean age 15 years old. I don't even know A, B, C, the alphabet, right? It's highly competitive, educated country.
Right.
They study English in their mother's tummy. That's how obsessed they are. So they told me, like, before even I began competing, they said, there's no chance you're gonna compete with these people. They are trained to take the test and go to university. So they told me, like, you're a failure. And so it was a lot. Korea is very meritocracy. They really make sure that you're competent. Yeah.
Which part of South Korea were you living?
I was arrived in the middle parts, but eventually I went to Seoul to study.
Where, like Daegu, Gwangju?
No, it's like On양 Woncheon. It's like Chungcheongnam-do. It's like really in the countryside.
Yeah. And when you went to South Korea and you told people that you're from North Korea, what did they say?
Are you a spy? Yeah.
And you told them, no, I'm just a normal girl.
Yeah. But like, then why are you talking to me? And there's so much dehumanization of North Korean people. Like, they think of us like some robots marching on the square.
Yeah.
Like the cannibalism, like those horrifying things they hear, and they think that we don't have the same humanity. They think we don't have the same desires and hopes and dreams. So, like, that's the thing. Whenever I tell them that I'm from North Korea, the first thing they tell me is just like, oh my God, you look just like me. And I'm like, yeah, North Koreans look just like you. They were just born in that country, and that's why they're being punished.
Wow. Did any South Koreans accept you for being North Korean?
No.
Nobody?
So I had to lie to them eventually that I was a South Korean. I learned the South Korean accent, and I pretended I was South Korean. That's how I was dealing with it in my university.
Wow. And how does it feel that you had to, like, you are Korean, you are the same as them, but you had to hide something? Were you upset? Did it make you feel sad?
That was the thing, like, I never chose to be born in North Korea. I never wanted to go into human trafficking. It's nobody's, like, choice. But South Korea still punishes victims, especially the rape victims. So if I told them that I was raped at 15 and 13 and as sex slave, no sane man would marry me and have a child with me.
Right.
So coming to America, realizing there's a country like this exists, so tolerant.
Absolutely.
And that's why I love this country to death.
When did you realize that you wanted to come to the US, or when did you have the opportunity to come here?
So I began speaking out against Kim Jong-un and the regime in 2014, and then I got a book offer to write a book, my memoir. And my agent who was in New York. So I came to New York to write my first book, and I learned there's a university called the Columbia University of Town. So I was studying in the university. And as I got to know more about this country, I fell in love with it. So I decided to stay.
Wow. How old were you when you arrived?
21.
21. What a good age to arrive in America.
Exactly, when I couldn't find a drink.
You could find a drink.
Yeah.
Did you drink? Did you go crazy?
No, I did not drink.
No.
Last year during COVID, I started drinking. Yeah.
Was it easy to make friends when you arrived here?
Oh yeah, totally. I made because in South Korea, I always thought like, I couldn't make friends. But in America, nobody cares where I'm from, as long as like they really care about who you are right now. So yeah, I made tons of friends in America.
That's so awesome to hear that.
Yeah.
And when you tell them you're North Korean, what do they say?
They're like, some of them like don't even care, and some of them like that's very cool, and they just say, I'm so glad you made it, and thank you for making it, right? And there's no like discrimination, and so many people also like really like pray for me. That's what these people totally look like different from me.
Yeah.
The people like American bastards, right? That was the same word for me that I learned. They were like monsters. They were our sworn enemies. But when I came to America, they say so many people told me they prayed for North Korean people every day, and they care about what's going on. So
you feel comfortable here?
Yeah, that's where I learned love here in America. Because there's no love in North Korea. I think this is the first country that I learned what that was.
Wow.
Right now, I'm still like writing, I'm making videos, and I go to give speeches, and I also work with a lot of non-profit organizations. So I'm on board of Human Rights Foundation. So our goal is trying to topple Kim Jong-un's regime. So we do a lot of rescue work. We rescue a lot of North Korean defectors into freedom.
Cool.
And we also get outside information inside North Korea. So I do a lot of like the activism.
Nice. Do you make videos on YouTube?
I do.
How's that going?
It's really cool. Like when I just made this video about the different beauty standards that North Korea and America, a lot of people really found it interesting because in North Korea everybody's starving. So our ideal man type is like big belly with the bored hair, not the Brad Pitt. Like Kim Jong-un is like the ideal body shape for us. And then when I came to America, like you guys completely want a different thing. So I think a lot of people are finding it just fascinating.
Do you think Kim Jong-un knows who you are?
Of course, I've been on his death list a while now.
Death list?
Yeah, killing list.
How do you know that?
Because South Korean intelligence tells me. Yeah, a lot of intelligence inform me. And
has he ever spoken to you?
Kim Jong-un, no, but his office in London, so there's a North Korean consulate in London. They reached out to my editor at Penguin Random House and saying that if you write my book, they're gonna blow Penguin.
If you met Kim Jong-un right now, what would you say to him?
Nothing. I mean, he was educated in Switzerland. He saw with his own eyes how humans should be treated, what humans deserve. So it's not like he does not know. He's a complete evil man that knows and still doing that to another human and imposing that much pain. So I don't think anything that I tell him gonna change his mind, but maybe only one thing is that we are never gonna give up. We're gonna fight until we die. Kim Jong-un is a complete terror. All he is ruling over is terror. Like executing people is not even enough. He using like aircraft guns to blow people into pieces. And because now he needs to keep using bigger fear and bigger fear to rule the country. So nobody really loves him.
You think nobody likes him?
Nobody.
But they have to pretend to like him.
They have to.
Wow.
That's the only way to survive in North Korea.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
So you live in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and how is life here?
That was the thing. When I coming to America, I really thought like, oh my God, my journey to freedom ended. Now I'm in the land of the free, home of the brave. I can say whatever I want. I can live free life. But now I see also that in America there's this huge ideological like battle going on. And even in America now, I'm getting censored. Like I said, I have a YouTube channel. And whenever I talk about how North Korean women are being raped and sold in China by CCP, they ban and censor, demonetize the video. So I reached out to Google, like, do you guys not support Me Too or something? Like, this is women suffering, right? And they're like, it doesn't meet our guidelines. And Twitter, Instagram, the same thing. And like, you have it's just what's happening in America reminds me so much happened in North Korea. Like the first thing my mom told me as a young girl was, don't even whisper because the birds and mice could hear you. In America, what you say can get your job, right? Can get you fired.
Tell me more about the problems that you see with America, like with politics and what's happening.
First, like this division that people have, right? In North Korea, like they say spies are everywhere. That like they divide, make us that we do not trust each other. And that's how the dictators win when people are divided. And I see that American people are so utterly divided. And they say such things like there's no room for hate speech. And that's so dangerous because who decides what is hate? And if the government decides what is hate, right? So it's America is choosing this path where it's gonna end up like authoritarianism. And I think people are so misled here. And that's why, I mean, last year I was like going through the looting here and everything became race. And I don't even know that this disappointment and shock that I found being in America is like endless.
So do you think the U.S. has similarities now with North Korea?
So much. I mean, I went to Columbia University, and like, you know, before the classes, they say you need to look for the hidden oppression. And reading Jane Austen, you're like, you're gonna be oppressed because she was a white woman who was living in that colonial era. And I'm like, just literature is a literature. Every civilization had a slavery. And they say every problem that we have is because of the white men. Right? I mean, that's exactly North Korea says. We are suffering, we are poor because of American bastards. In America, the same thing, we have these problems because of white men. So how same narrative they are using to brainwash and control people is like utterly like it's just baffling.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
It's hard to tell, but I hope that by then that we can turn this country around, because for me, if America falls, that is really the last chance for humanity to be ever free. You know, what scares me with North Korea is that when I was born in that country, I did not even know what freedom was. There was no word for liberty and human rights. Like if you read The Animal Farm by George Orwell. Right. Like, I mean, if we go this path by the third generation, we are not gonna even know the time when individuals were free. Right. So that's why I'm fighting for America right now, because this is really the last chance we got.
So is that your goal, would you say? Like
freedom is my goal.
Freedom is your goal.
Of course, I know what life is to be without freedom. It's like worse than death. So I never want to go back to that time when I was not free.
If you could give one message to everybody in the world, what would you tell them?
One thing that we have to do, even in freedom, is find the meaning in life. If you have a meaning, everything is bearable. And when I see people like in America, like shooting themselves with heroin in their, like, you know, veins, like freedom without meaning and virtue is an anarchy. And I don't think America is doing a good job teaching this generation that responsibility that comes with the freedom, right? They think freedom is like do whatever thing you want. But freedom needs discipline, it needs a responsibility, it needs like a virtue. And I think really reviving the spirit of freedom everywhere would save all of us. And maybe we are gonna do less on social media and read more books and talking to each other in person.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been an incredible experience to meet Yeonmi. Thank you for inviting me out here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's been really cool just to talk about North Korea and just bond about life. And she's really inspiring, and I hope you guys learned something and feel inspired from her story. And so, is there any last words you want to say?
Oh, thank you for watching and supporting you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys later. Bye.
See you. Bye.
All right, I'm here with Yeonmi. She's from North Korea. I speak Korean, South Korean. Let's try it. I haven't spoken in a long time.
Okay. Let's try.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
저는 드루입니다.
반갑습니다.
한국 정말 좋아요.
아, 그래요? 저 미국이 너무 좋아요.
음식 좋아요? 맛있어요?
맛있어요.
영어 선생님 있었어요.
아, 영어 선생님. 아, 저 영어 가르쳐 주세요.
You said you speak.
The 영어, like you can teach me.
Oh, I can teach you Korean.
English.
Okay, no, English. I don't need to teach you. You need to speak Korean. What else can I say in Korean? Ask me a question.
몇 살이에요?
How old am I? How do you count in Korean? Wait, it's I'm 30. How do you say that? No. 30살. 20 is 20?
Yes, summer is 20.
Alright, she got me. I lost my Korean. Alright guys, I'll see you later.
See you, bye.
I'm Drew Binsky, and thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more adventures from every country, and I also have a second channel where I share the most inspiring people stories around the world. Also, if you want to become a better traveler and save money, I'm offering the first chapter of my travel hacking course for free. Just click that link in the middle down below. Until next time guys, stay safe, be spontaneous, and just go.